is Brian Sack. I'm honored to serve as the executive director of Lincoln Literacy, which basically means what I do for a living is ask rich people for money, write grants, ask rich people for money, and write grants. And the reason I'm able to do that is we have an absolute superstar team at Lincoln Literacy. Julie Greaves is our director of adult skills, which is Lincoln Literacy speak for workforce development. Sandra Rojo and Maria Cruz de Pacina are leaders of our ELL program, which I'll talk just briefly about. They are here. And we also have a student here this year. We were the one, if you saw the map of Nebraska with the one student, that's our student. Yeah, just to be clear, Valeria is a star. So just a little bit about us, because we are a little bit different animal than some of the other organizations here. We serve 2,250 students at Lincoln Literacy from 87 countries. We teach English from very beginners, Burmese, Afghans, Iraqis who might not read and write in their home language, all the way to people who spell color with a U because they learned British English in Kabul. And they speak perfect English, but they were a gynecologist in Afghanistan, and now they want to know how to be a gynecologist again. So we have a whole workforce development program. Oh, you're welcome to join us. It's not too late. You're welcome. We'll start waving people in. So we have an entire spectrum of services from the very beginning of English all the way to workforce development. One of the things that's been really successful for us is our workplace learning program. So we teach English at 13 different businesses in Lincoln, Nebraska. For context, Lincoln is about a population of 350,000 people. We're the state capital. Where the Nebraska Cornhuskers play all of their sports, which is really cool. And we've been a refugee resettlement community since 1975 when the Vietnam War ended. Lincoln was very, 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 very white in 1974, and since then has become more diverse with time as we've received Vietnamese, Burmese, folks after the war in Bosnia, Sudanese, Iraqis, Vietnamese, many people, people from 87 countries. So what we're going to share with you today, what I hope is we have no product to sell. I have nothing to sell you. I hopefully just have an example of a great partnership with an employer that the whole goal of this session, if we're doing our learning objectives, is that this is a replicable model for you. We're going to talk a little bit about how to identify partners. We're going to talk a little bit about where different funding streams can come from and how all that works. With those 13 businesses that we work at, we have businesses that just pay us privately as a vendor, the same way as they have a cleaning service. We have businesses that work with us through WIOA, Incumbent Worker Title II. And we also have an Office of Refugee Resettlement grant called Employer Engagement. That is another way for us to work with businesses. So we really kind of find a way to make it go. Some businesses don't want to mess with the bureaucracy that comes with the federal grant. Other businesses say, yes, we will do that. We want that grant money. Raised hand. Dr. Don Hall, I see you raised your hand. I think they want you to go through Whova. If you could log on to Whova on the chat. Otherwise, I will come back to you at the end. Oh, please. Yeah. Okay, so we talked a little about this already. I promise I'll go fast because, like I said, I'm not your main event. We started in 1972 as a volunteer organization. In 1975, received many Vietnamese refugees, which really led to us being a refugee resettlement community to this day. Obviously, as many of you know, the refugee program is currently paused. When it is unpaused, we look forward to receiving folks again. We actually have a driver. His name is Shafi. He was a special operations soldier for the Afghan National Army and ran around with CIA. He came here after Kabul fell by himself because his family was far away. He met his family in Abu Dhabi 3 days after the executive order came down, and they had to turn around and go back. So he hadn't seen his wife and kids in 2 years. And we have another guy who is Iraqi who was a special forces translator. And his mother and brother were supposed to come 5 days after the executive order. So when those are unpaused, we look forward to having them back. We talked about this a little bit already. The way that we do this is we have 200 volunteers. So there's no way on God's green earth that we could serve 2,250 students. There's no replication there. I went through it myself, I promise. Without 200 volunteers. We're a volunteer-led organization. Kevin at Kawasaki and Julie are our partners. So for our business classes, those are taught by staff, but most of our English classes are taught by trained volunteers. Oh, and we have, oh man, 120 now classes per week, pretty much all day, Monday through Saturday. We're starting a Sunday class too, I think, at some point. So we use the best assessment for, I stopped. No, you're next, right? The next slide, Julie. Okay. If I'll get talking about this, I will talk the whole time because I get excited about it. I'm gonna make sure I stop. This is my last slide. So 78% of our students improve either from registration to 6 months or every 6 months thereafter. We don't know anything about MSG. To us, that is a food ingredient. We don't know anything about NRS. I do not say that to say that we're better. I just think that's funny. And so we don't have AFLA funding. The public monies that we have come through DHHS to work with refugees, and we have city, state, and federal grants, but we don't have AFLA funding. So that's why we're not talking about some of the other things that you may be thinking about, like CASA and TABE and all that stuff. I know what that is, but it's not my world. We have 53 staff. We have 6 15-passenger vans that we provide point-to-point transportation. We have 7 locations all around our community where the idea is that people can walk to us or bike to us, and we provide childcare and transportation to all those locations. What's really cool about childcare is 99% of the time, that's usually a woman's first job in America. A lot of time it might be her first check as a paid employee of an organization. And many of our full-time staff members started as childcare and have moved up into management, including Maria, who is here, who now oversees all of the sitters and many, many other things. We are very lean. There's me, the ops director, and the finance director that don't face students. Otherwise, everybody works for our students. Our budget's about 2.2 million with these different pieces. We're very proud to have a very diverse income stream, about 7 different ways of bringing in funds. As you all know, in this environment, the more flexible that we can be, the better. The feds can't hurt us. And so we will continue the work with our students. I'll leave you with this. We served 2,250 students in 2024. Most of those continued with us, and we already have 500 new students in the first 3 months of this year. So even though we're not receiving refugees, we're still receiving a ton of new students, and I think a big part of that is our workforce partnership. So I'm going to pass it off to Julie, and then Kevin, the training administrator from Kawasaki.
Well, it's definitely a group project at Lincoln Literacy. So I did give many of you this handout. There are more up here if anybody would like one before you leave. And we did put this online as well. But basically what we're going to be showing here is somewhat up here as well on the board. And you might be wondering, how in the world do I get a business or company or an organization work with us and get us in the door? Luckily, there are probably a lot of people at the companies you might be looking at who want you to come and help, and they don't know who to ask and how to ask. So I would just recommend, first of all, start asking. See if there are companies that you can contact through maybe your chamber or some other organization that is working across, the city, county, and then business economic area. We have a little online audio issue. We're going to see if we can get it fixed. I'm on to that. Okay. And then, just ask those people, even if they don't know how to help you or they don't have a need, they maybe know somebody else in the business world, education world. We actually are, one of our partners is LPS, Lincoln Public Schools, and we have classes for the custodial workers there. So it can be a really wide variety. Of course, that's a big area where people can get hired without having a very strong base in English. Healthcare, we're in the hospital system in Bryan Health in Lincoln, and there again, we do English classes there, but we also actually have computer classes there. So we're not just serving the English language learners, that's the big group that we're serving, but we do have classes where just everyday native English speakers are participating and really feeling like that's a great benefit of working there. Should we keep going? And then what do you do once you have an idea of somebody that might be interested? Start meeting, talk to them about their needs, see if you even have the capability to provide for them, or have some ideas for how you can do it. Start small, I would say. It will give you a lot of information, a lot of practice if you can get an idea just from a real kind of pilot, not even a pilot, maybe even just one or two tries, but also develop your own materials if you can, to give an example of what you can provide. It might be something off the shelf. It might be something that you use in classes already. Absolutely share that if that is the direction you think you probably will go, even if it isn't the direction you go. And I'll talk a little bit in a minute here about what we actually do. But as far as designing new courses, but definitely don't feel like it has to be something you do all by yourself. You can use lots of resources to support whatever you decide to do. The more you talk, there will be probably some people that you talk to in an organization. And I want to say, I have on my little handout here, I have identify a company champion. That is Kevin Kawasaki for us. And that is just the most important part of this, is that you have somebody there already that believes in this, because there probably will be some people that do not think this is a good way to help their company. I have seen again and again and again how people will turn around. I was last fall, I was at a what we call week 0, when we go in and we get everybody registered in the class and test them and everything. I heard a young man at a company I was doing that at tell another person that worked there, I don't know why we're doing this. He was not convinced, and he was going on and on and on about how he didn't think it was going to be worthwhile. And then I was there to sub for the instructor probably about 6 weeks later, and he came up to me, because I think he knew I'd heard him. And he came up to me and he said, I was so shocked the other day. This woman in the class came up to me and asked for a pallet jack in English. And he said, I stopped, I was stunned. And she said, what is wrong with you? I want a pallet. And he said, I can't believe she asked me for that in English. And that was just in 6 weeks. So that it can really change people's opinion very, very quickly. Just getting in there and doing just a little bit. Sometimes I'm even shocked. I think, did we do what we said we would do? And then they'll come people that are at the companies, both supervisors and students will come and say, oh, this was exactly what I needed. I feel so much better now. Anyway, that's my little, so I'll get off my cheerleader position and talk a little bit more about how. So we often do a custom curriculum, and that means going into the company and getting a tour. I really recommend bringing 2 or 3 people if you can, taking notes about everything, taking pictures if you're allowed to. Definitely get permission on that. And tell them how you're going to use those photos if you're in a company where they might have proprietary information. Oh, sure. Yeah. No, totally get it.
Check, 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 check. There you go, there you go, there you go.
Retention of students is impossible. Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. It should be better. It should be better. I should say we do not have any volunteers teaching in the workplace. It's all paid staff that do that because we want to make sure that we're, showing up with the same quality and that everybody is on the same page as far as how we're developing courses and lessons and everything. Yeah, it also helps that Brian knows everybody personal Lincoln Nebraska. Oh, yeah, thank you. Do we have a requirement for our volunteers? We have a short training that we ask everybody to come in, and more and more, most of them are also doing some shadowing before they actually teach. And that is pretty much, and the requirement is that you care about making sure people are learning whatever it is that you're teaching. When Brian was talking about our different locations around the city and our partners, so those are our ELL classes that people come to on their own. They're offered for free, and we also have computer and math and GED and a number of other things. But when we go into companies, we are bringing paid Lincoln Literacy staff. Yeah. Sometimes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you. We try to get our students into these companies. Often we will have somebody come to us, or maybe a spouse or something, and say, "Oh, my husband works there, or my wife works there." Can they be in that class too? And often that, yes, we can get them in there. I think Alexander that just talked to Kevin yesterday was overhearing a man came into the class that way. He heard through Lincoln Literacy that we had a class at Kawasaki, and then he was able to join the class that he passed with flying colors yesterday. Yeah. Just slightly. Yes, I will. So the question is, do we also teach digital literacy at other sites? Just starting to do that. We had part of the new class at Kawasaki, that's a Workplace 2 class, where we had 2 weeks of it because it was part of a larger goal. And then we've started reaching out and providing some of those classes in important organizations, things like that too. So yes. Do we have plans to expand to ADD or DED in the workplace? Not at this moment. We have a lot of work on our plate right now, but yeah, I could see in the future that would definitely be a request that we do. Okay, am I good? One more time. It's kind of in the other places like Kawasaki, where it's not in fleshed out yet. It's always a growing and changing process.
Check one, two, one, two, one, two, one, two, one, two. Yeah. I think we're good.
Okay. Great. And I'll say, we definitely refine between cohorts. We sometimes shift teachers, of course, just to keep it interesting and for everybody, and to make sure that everybody is getting experience that they want, and working with their schedules. So that kind of will also shift to some degree. What we're actually teaching or how we're going to improve our teaching of it. And then once you have decided, I'm going to do that workplace contextualized English, that can really give you a built-in structure in a big way, because you will have from the company then what it is you are supposed to be conquering for them, and that can really help you decide how to develop that. I'm just going to quickly go through here so that we'll still leave a little time at the end. So we usually have one cohort for 10 to 12 weeks. Ideal is 7 to 15 students. Sometimes we have fewer than that. Sometimes we have more than that. We happen to have 25 in a Walmart class right now, but we're thrilled to be in Walmart, so it's okay. they seem to be okay with it. Usually 60 to 90 minutes of class per week, but like I said, we have some that are much longer than that, just depending on what their needs are again. We do a pre-test when we show up in addition to that best test, so we know where they're starting from. And then also, of course, have an ability to say that there was some progression or not. If we are getting to the right vocabulary and grammar, etc. So we do a post test at the end that's usually almost exactly the same, unless there was something completely obvious in that pre-test. It'll be almost exactly the same test. And we have a 20 to 25% target improvement. Almost without fail, we are probably somewhere between 35 and 40% improvement. Very easy to do when you have buy-in with the people you're planning it with. And then on the outcome side, we also have a satisfaction survey that we give to students at the end of classes. That gives us a lot of good ideas about what's working well, of course, and then some things if we need to be changing or expanding. The biggest comment usually is, when's the next class? This is helpful. Let me do this again. And then Kevin, I know, is going to talk quite a bit about this, but the retention is remarkable when you compare people that have taken the class to the people that haven't been in the class. Retention in every place that we've been in has been fantastic. And like I said, we get regular feedback from the supervisors, the HR, the trainers in the workplace that know these students, and they always have some great story that I never even thought about. Oh, that would be helpful for them to be able to have that conversation with you more easily. And so just keep checking in, keep those conversations going. And then finally, I'll just say a little bit more about how we get paid to do all of this. We have for free. That's you are helping the economy by doing these kind of classes. You're helping all sides of it, so it's okay to get paid. So we do use the WIOA Title II programs through our local workforce board for some of our classes. And then this employer engagement grant has been really nice because it's given us an opportunity to do maybe an extra class somewhere or something that maybe we just wanted everybody to see what this would be like if we came in. And so we've been able to offer that free to businesses as long as they're paying their employees to participate. And that's been really great. And then of course we have some private pay folks that just want to keep the whole metrics and design of the curriculum and everything a little more just in-house. And so they just pay us on it. Kind of in some cases more of a week-to-week model too. We can be there a little longer. But the last thing I want to really emphasize is that I think the overall model of the 10 to 12 week class session is really, really important. There has to be a beginning, there has to be an end. So you can see the progress overall. People will engage better when they know there's a finite time, and then have a break and then do another one. If they want more, if they're looking for something extra, or they want to do it again. We had some students repeat a class. Sometimes we've recommended that. Yeah, it's more workplace contextualized. With in this particular instance, that's an ongoing private pay situation. So we kind of have a mix of contextualized and additional English there. Yeah. Who creates all of that? Yes, so that is us, Lincoln Literacy, with a lot of input from the people that we're working with, whatever company. But again, that is, we do the workplace contextualized classes, and we kind of have a model, I guess. I can't even say that it's really a template because it's going to change for everybody, but we do kind of have a system. We know how to do it now. And sometimes we have foundational classes where we do use materials from that were already prepared, and we buy those and use them in class. Yeah. When we do the pre-test, we also do best tests, and to just know what level they're at, and then we do the pre-test of what is going to be the content, whether it's a foundation. We can have some mixed levels sometimes, yes, in each class, and there again, we have different strategies to deal with that we've developed over time. I could share more about the nitty-gritty of that in offline sometime. Yeah. But yeah, and so we have different strategies depending on where we're at and how big the population is that we're working with. And last but not least, I want to say we celebrate the learners at the end of the session. Each time they get a certificate. I said this to the class that I've been working with at Kawasaki yesterday, that next week we're having a party, which I thought that was a fun part. Hey, next week we're having a party and you will get certificates. And when I said the word certificates, there was an oh, and the class, I'm always surprised by that. They love it. They want proof. They did this, and they can see I've made progress because I have a certificate every single time. So that's super important. Yeah. These, there are a few more. They're not all, but yeah. Well, we keep checking in, keep going back, and again, I'll point out the arrow here that we go back, and then we send the metrics, obviously too, and try to stay engaged about that. Both if they're looking really good, and if they're not, what's next, what needs to happen. These relationships, especially Kawasaki, Brian Health, are definitely over several years. Yeah. And all of our company partners that I've worked with, I've been with Lincoln since for 3.5 years. And there are very few that are not constantly starting that next class and looking at that. Yeah, Walmart up there, that was a really great, and I mentioned the employer engagement grant a little bit ago. We have a man, Amir, who's standing there, who is the teacher there, but he is our career navigator actually at Lincoln Literacy, works with people getting their resumes ready and helping them in a myriad of ways, but he happened to have worked at Walmart before and has this really great story of being a translator and part of the American Army, and kind of back and forth, and got a graduate degree at University of Nebraska in French. So he's got multiple languages. he got hired at Walmart at one point where when he just couldn't find a job, like so many highly educated immigrants have that story, and he's got that story. Walmart was a real star for him, North Star. And so he loves getting to go in there and teach and those students, and he's such a great example to those students because they can see that this is maybe just a starting point for them, or maybe they want to keep working at Walmart a long time. He also knows how to help them get farther ahead. Is that what you mean to say? Yeah. Yes. Yeah, definitely not that I would plan to share today. So yeah, I'd be happy to talk further about that though, because it's like I said, it's going to look really different depending on what company we're at. I remember, I know I've said many times to different organizations, we cannot make everybody fluent in 10 to 12 weeks, but we can give them a lot of confidence to move forward and actually find what they already know in many cases to give them that confidence to move forward. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to let Kevin come up here because I know we'll have, then we can have a little more time for questions possibly. Yeah.
All right, now we're going to have one of those guys come in and nail me. Podium. My name is Kevin. I'm a training administrator with Kawasaki Manufacturing in Lincoln, Nebraska. Our plant was established in 1970. We were the first foreign vehicle manufacturer to set up operations in the United States. We've been here longer than Toyota. We are now the largest manufacturing facility in the state of Nebraska. We have about 2.5 million square feet under a roof. We sit on about 322 acres. We have sister plants in Maryville and in Boonville, Missouri. In those plants, we build small gasoline engines. We supply engines to the commercial mowing industry. So companies like John Deere, Toro, Exxon, Husqvarna. Here, now Brian said he wasn't here to sell you anything. I am. Here are some of the things that we build in Lincoln. In our consumer products division, we build the Route 4750 ATV, the Mule Pro line of vehicles, the Terex vehicles, our newest high performance ones, the Terex 1000, the Ridge. We offer both a 2-seat and 4-seat. These also have heating, air conditioning, GPS, sound system. And our brand new neighborhood activity vehicle, the NAV. It is not a golf cart. So those are the things that we build in our consumer products division. We have an aerospace division, and we are currently building the large cargo boilers for Boeing 777 and 777X. Kawasaki and Boeing have had a relationship for almost 50 years. So if you look at the 777 and 777X, all of the things in green are things that Kawasaki does. In Lincoln, we're doing the cargo doors. Our rail car division, our current contract is the R211, which is the newest train in the New York City subway system. We have built cars for Washington Metro Transit Authority in Washington, D.C., Metropolitan Railroad, which is the state of Connecticut. Our trains are the M8 trains. They run the New Haven line. Long Island Railroad, Massachusetts Bay Transit Authority. The R211 contract is the largest commuter rail contract ever awarded in the United States. So all told, with when they pick up all the options, it'll be about $37 billion. Some of the things that we built in Lincoln are very famous. Those of you who've seen the original Top Gun movie, Tom Cruise rides a ninja in that movie. Interesting backstory. When they were making the movie, Tom himself made the request to ride a ninja movie. So the producers went to our marketing division in California and said, hey, we're making this movie. Tom Cruise is in it, airplanes, lots of speed, you know, excitement. He wants to ride a Kawasaki Ninja. So they presented the script to our marketing people. Well, our marketing people went back and they said, we don't think this can be a very good movie. But gee, thanks for asking. So they went back to said, hey, Kawasaki said, no, how would you like to ride a Suzuki? And he says, no, I want to ride an engine. So Tom Cruise made the request himself. And our marketing division, infinite wisdom, said, well, if you really want to ride a ninja in the movie, we'd be glad to sell it. That night, and as a condition of letting him ride it in the movie, we required all branding to be stripped from them. So it didn't say Ninja, it didn't say Kawasaki. If you see the opening scene in Top Gun Maverick, he pulls the tarp off of that. It says Kawasaki. There are 3 motorcycles in Smithsonian in Washington. One is a Harley, one is an Indian, the other is a KZ-1000 police bike. Those are all built in, were all built in Nebraska. So the motorcycles that Ponch and John were in chips made in Nebraska, our original Terex, now the official SOCOM vehicle. And during the first Iraq War, the military was looking for a lightweight, agile vehicle. Their commanders to field, and any solution that the military came up with just didn't cut it. So the Navy still went out and bought a bunch of terrorists. It is now the official SOCOM vehicle. In fact, our leadership program, we had one of the first Navy SEAL commanders who wrote a terrorist in battle, speaking to our graduates. So here's kind of the timeline. I've been with Kawasaki for 15 years, and ever since I've been here, I have wanted to start an ELL. My father was in the field back in the 80s and did a lot of, he's very passionate. And I kept getting the endorsement in my face. Yeah, no, we're not going to do it. It's a requirement for people to speak English to work here. Well, in 2001, this is before we built our plant in Boonville, and our Maryville engine plant was having trouble keeping up with the demand. We built about 2 million engines per year. So we built an engine line in Lincoln, and we were having trouble staffing. The unemployment rate in Lincoln covers right around 2%. So pretty much everybody who wants a job. And we were struggling to get that staff. Our staffing service said, hey, if you let us bring in Spanish-speaking people, we'll have the staff going to you. So our management got together and they said, here's what we're going to do. We'll bring in all these Spanish-speaking. We'll get some team bilingual, and we'll just keep them all in that one area. Well, as time went on, our general foreman and assistant managers would be caught in a situation where people wouldn't show up for work, and they'd say, hey, can you come over here and run this job? So all of these people are starting to, spread throughout the company. That is when I was able to, get people to listen. We started with a pilot of 4 people. And That led to our first formal cohort was in January of 2022. And that's the original curriculum. This is what is now workplace English. And it's all based on manufacturing and Kawasaki specific terminology. We discovered that level was a little too advanced for some of our people. So I asked if we could add a foundation level. We now have 2 foundation levels of ELL learning, and I'll tell you about that in a second. We piloted Workplace English 2 with the help of the Employer Engagement grant. And that is really designed to prepare people for, didn't give me my last thing. Oh, now let's do my animation. How did that happen? Okay, it's all designed to prepare people for our internal development program, which we call Kawatech. Kawatech starts with 5 core courses: math, print reading, metrology, computer applications, and business communication. Once they finish those 5 core courses, that makes them eligible to apply for advancement opportunities in quality control. We have people that we call programmer operators, and these people are specialized on a piece of equipment, a robot, a laser cutter, and they learn everything about that machine. They're the ones responsible for programming, troubleshooting. Before this, our engineers were the ones that had to go out into the field and program these machines. Our production people are doing it now. There are leadership opportunities. Most of our youngest leaders, team leaders, supervisors are a product of the Kawatech program. And we have to date sent about 17 people to our local community college, paid their salary, their tuition, their fees, for them to get their electromechanical degree to become maintenance technicians. So it's been a very successful program, and I wanted everybody to have the same opportunity. All of these classes are taught in English, so we needed to get people to a level where they could. We are one of the largest employers of foreign-born people in Nebraska. And we have done a lot of things to try to support people there. All of our compliance training has been translated into the most spoken languages that are for. Right now, there's 50 different languages that are primary languages on our production team. But we have things translated into Spanish, Ukrainian, Pashto, and Hungarian. We have multilingual team leaders and team members that help with translation. We had a gentleman working in our office, safety training and wellness office, who speaks 5 or 6 languages. And yeah, he's in our aerospace division now, a quality control person. So we do the assessment that Julie was talking about at hire. So when we hire people off the street, that's part of that process. And then when people roll over from our staffing service as regular full-time people, we do that. The foundational curricula is an invention. This has been a very successful thing for them. People really enjoy it, and it's flexible enough that if you have a variation class, you can give people what they need and what they want, and still not leave the slower learner behind. Workplace English 1 is that original curriculum that we made, all based around Kawasaki manufacturing terminology. Workplace English 2 is specifically designed as a Kawasaki course. So they're introduced to computer skills, measuring using calipers, micrometers. So when they get into Kawatech, they're going to go from using the digital ones that they learned here to actually learning how to read the linear scale. We talk about quality, lean manufacturing principles. One of the projects that I'm working on right now for our supervisors and team leaders is I've made these quick references. And right now I have Spanish and Ukrainian. So I encourage the supervisors to learn a few things in these languages. You know, even if it's just good morning, it helps you break through and gain that trust. These are for a few of our people with laminated, and they actually carry it around. So here's our scoreboard. Through December 2024, our last session is just ending, but we've done 18 awards. We've had 168 participants. Now, some of those people have gone through more than one level. To date, we have 29 people who have received a promotion as a result of the ELL class. 24 of those people are assistant team leaders and team leaders. We have 3 people who were promoted to quality control inspector. Just 3 months ago, our first ELL student was to be promoted to a production supervisor role. Happened. He's supervising the second shift line where we build the Kawasaki Bridge. And then one other that I would talk about in a minute. He moved from our materials area in the consumer products division to our rail division and moved up 2 pay grades. So I want to talk about some of these individuals. You know, when we were putting this together, Ryan said, "Hey, we need to talk about some successful." I said, "We don't have enough time." So, here I chose the 4, but it was a very difficult process to narrow it down to these. Laura Casarubias, she came to the United States in 2000 from Mexico. Her first job was at McDonald's. And she went to community college for the English classes there. She started as a temporary worker at Kawasaki in 2015, and we hired her on the job. So even though she had taken English at community college, she could not get beyond that further. I can't. And even today, they will tell you to your face that she's not learning in English, but she took our English class. And after that, she went from just being on the production assistant team leader, and now she's a quality control inspector. When she went into the WIOA Title program, she and another gentleman you can see here, they were the two highest scoring people on the final test in the business communication class, which is really, really bad. She got a 99, he got a 1. This is the gentleman, Ramiro Aguado. He's from Mexico. He is a graduate of Universidad Autónoma Chapingo. He has a mechanical engineering degree. And when he brought his family to the States in 2021, he had done research. He says, "We are going to Lincoln, Nebraska, and I'm going to work at Kawasaki." That was his goal. And I think with him, it was a matter of confidence in his English abilities. And he went from being an assistant team leader to a quality control inspector. He has interviewed a couple of engineering positions. He hasn't found the right fit. And I asked him just shortly before I came, I said, "Are there any things that you want to pursue?" And he says, no, I think I have. So I think there are opportunities. People in quality control in our rail car division know him now, and I think they. His wife works for us in our consumer products division. She ships all of our service parts. So when we have to make parts for dealerships to service our products, she's the one that packs them and ships them. Ludmila, we hired her in 2022. Now she had been in the United States for a while. She's from Ukraine. She was in our very first cohort of ELL. It was during that cohort that Russia invaded Ukraine. She has family there, and it was an incredibly emotional time for her. She never missed a class. And it was so cool to see all of the people in that classroom. In that class, we had people from Latin countries. We had I can't remember, one of the women in the class was from one of the African countries. I can't remember which one. We had somebody in there from Burma, and to watch them rally during that time, they would leave class and walk out hand in hand. So her son now works for Kawasaki on second shift. And he's a young kid, really smart. And he had started the Kawasaki program, and I had him pay for to send him to Southeast Community College. But he said, I got to make more money, so I'm going to work 2 jobs. First shift somewhere else, and second shift Kawasaki. Last week he came back to me and says, I'm ready to finish this up. She has been a tremendous recruiter of Kawasaki and Lincoln Literacy. She has brought people from the Ukrainian community to us to work at Kawasaki. And then, she's very active in classes at Lincoln Literacy and has brought people into that program. She is being looked at for a gate inspector. Now, on our assembly lines, we have inspection gates through the assembly line. And our general foreman wants her to be the gate inspector. And she keeps telling her, my English is, I can't do it. And, so the general foreman came to me, and I said, yeah, her English is fine. So one of our other general foremen is in Ukraine, and I went to him and I said, you need to talk to her. You need to talk to her and say, you can do this. You need to do this. And then it was, well, I don't want to take a job away from somebody else. He says, no, you need to worry about yourself. So hopefully by the time I get back, you can do a good inspector. This gentleman, I will run through the walls. His name is Misha. He is from Congo. And during the first Congo War, he witnessed his parents being murdered. The people who murdered his parents took him and tortured him, beat him, and cut him. He has shown him love. He has scars on his back and his torso. With the help of a friend of his father, he was able to escape from those people. And this man got into a refugee camp in Zambia. 24 years he lived in the refugee camp. He met his wife there. He raised his family. They were able to come to the United States 5 years ago. And while he was in ELL, he came in and announced that they bought their first house. And he came to me another time and says, I have children who are going to be graduating from high school. I want them to go to college. And I said, the state college, you know, if you meet their criteria, your children will go there. And, you know, his children are very good. I said, there are scholarships. So I helped him through that process. His two eldest children right now, his eldest son, who worked for Kawasaki for a while, is now studying cybersecurity, and his eldest daughter is in nursing. He came to me, he was driving for order picking, and he said, I need to move up, I need to make more money, but I don't know how to request a transfer. I said, what do you want to do? He said, I would like to go to Raymond Park and do what my son was doing. I said, we're not going to mess around with HR's transfer process. We're walking right over here. And I went to the people who make the decisions, and I said, this is your man. He wants to transfer here, and you tell me what I need to do to make this happen. So that's moved up 2 papers, and he is our rail division is kind of split into 3 sections. There's the fabrication section, which is all the welding, builds the shell of the rail car. He is in fitting and wiring, so he does a lot of the internal structures. In this picture, there's a sound damper, or no, this one's a fire damper. Yes. But he's been there for several months, doing wonderful. His wife works for us as a custodian, and he's just doing it really good. You know, and these are the things that make me, you know, this is the reason I do what I do. So wait, this is okay. Maybe this is a Julie slide. Okay. Okay. Seven minutes. You know, for those of you who are with organizations like Lincoln University, get out there and talk. When we started, we were the only person. We were the only company. There are now 13 that are doing it, and it's a program to ours. We've received a lot of recognition for this. You know, our management is bought in. We were having we do this on Saturday, but we're paying people overtime to be here. And we're doing it on Saturdays because we couldn't possibly take anybody in production during the week. And so they said, if you do it on Saturday, so I did. Well, we went through this period of time where, okay, we know you have the ELL class, but we need you here. We've got to build one room. And attendance started this. So I went to one of the assistant managers, and I said, take a look at the people you have. Take a look at where they came from and why they're in the position that they are. And you figure out how to go to class, because you are benefiting. You know, you are the one that is reaping the benefits, and you cannot punish people for showing up. You know, well, we have high absenteeism on overtime Saturdays. No kid, you can punish the people who are here working by denying them advancement opportunities. So we've had close to 100% attendance. Yeah. Yeah, he does it every Saturday and checks attendance. So, yeah. The ELL or the. Yeah, we can definitely.
Kevin says yes, so I think we can at least share Kawasaki.
Are you talking about Caltech as well? I can send you just kind of a general synopsis of learning objectives. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so the first question was the obstacles that we had to overcome. The ones I've spoken about, already, but the partnership between Kawasaki and Lincoln Literacy has been excellent. After each Saturday session, we have a little informal meeting, what do we need? Is there stuff that we can add? Like the other day when Abby came from her class, and she said, we have a gentleman here from Cuba, his name's Vladavis. And he's just been a very quiet guy, doesn't participate much, and gets really flustered when he's called on to participate. And she said, he was taking notes. He was writing things down. And it was like, that's, we have these little breakthroughs. And the people that come to Kawasaki to teach, they're very good at spotting those. Tetiana is in her class. They gave her, was it the web-based thing, learning upgrade. She blasted through it in about a week. So they're very good at spotting and delivering for people who want more or help support people who need that that confidence. We are having I wrote my paper Thank you.